Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Giacomo Longaro. I'm a Peruvian American currently living in California. I'm an independent author and researcher of authentic enigmas of archaeology and history. On this video, I would like to share my thoughts about a sensitive subject that I don't think only have to do with Peru or Cusco, but with other archaeological sites in the world. Is there a prohibition to research certain sites in Cusco? But first things first, I want to share with you something which is beyond anecdotal and is a testimony about ancient concrete or geopolymer, a comment written by English engineer, astronomer and meteorologist Richard Inwards in his book Temple of the Andes, published in 1884 after spending several years working in Bolivia and visiting Tiahuanaco and Pumapunku. Listen carefully, please.
The good curate at Tiahuanaco, I thank him now for his kindness and hospitality, told me that it was commonly supposed that the blocks were not stone at all, but a kind of cement. Without believing this, I must admit having seen artificial stones so closely resembling natural ones that it would be difficult to distinguish the difference. With an unknown number of centuries in which to harden, it is possible to conceive some of these fragments as having been molded rather than carved. I saw no mark of chisel in any of the stones.
Personally, I consider this comment remarkable, since there are no other proof, just oral traditions related to a plant that softened the stones, or an ancient concrete, or nowadays called geopolymer. Tiahuanaco and Pumapunku are unique. Their architecture are flattened surfaces with inner 90-degree angles, which is unique in all pre-Columbian cultures in the Americas. As you can see, we're not the only ones asking about where are the molds or the chisel marks in these incredible architectural designs in Tiahuanaco and especially in Pumapunku. In this subject about ancient geopolymer or ancient Andean concrete, I was able to interview French scientist Joseph Davidovits and his research in Egypt as well in Pumapunku. I have been following Davidovits' research since 2004, and it really surprised me how many people completely reject his research without even have the time to interview him. I also interviewed Peruvian geologist Luis Woman, who was part of the Geopolymer Institute that is directed by Joseph Davidovits, and he spent time with Ralph Davidovits in Pumapunku. According to Woman, at the very beginning of the research, while they were taking samples of two different sites in Pumapunku, he did not believe that they were in front of ancient concrete or geopolymer. But after the results of the samples taken from two different sites at Pumapunku, that there were several evidences of organic residuals or presence in different samples. Therefore, he was looking at ancient concrete, a man-made concrete done thousands of years ago by unknown architects. Finally, I also have interviewed Russian geophysicist Andrei Viranov twice in Spanish and one in English. I have an interview in English in this channel as well. Viranov, while doing a research promoted by the National Institute of Culture in Cusco back in 2012, he found out just by curiosity that the limestone, the huge megalithic stones of Sacsayhuaman, were too good to be true. In other words, they were just pure limestone without any fossils. After taking 30 samples and sent them to the Institute of Geophysics and Tectonics in Khabarovsk, Russia, the results of the test showed that the limestone was grinded to the point to become powder and added an agglomerant, an unknown formula that turned the stones like into a plasticine, according to Viranov. We're learning more from independent researchers. The researchers that take the time, the logistic, and their own budget to go to different archaeological sites, whether in Mexico, Peru, Cusco, or even Egypt, to find out more about our ancient and remote past. And this is the reason I made this video, because sometimes I wonder that is there a prohibition to research certain sites in Cusco? We all know that archaeology is a fascinating career that allows us to understand our past and therefore our reality. It is also a methodical work that follows a series of protocols for an investigation to be officially approved. Added to this is the presence of technology that allows greater access to archaeological finds. Imagine that at the end of the 19th century, the first archaeologists had to use draughtsmen to be able to accompany their workplaces with images, drawings. Needless to mention that it took months for his investigations to be known, as they had to be sent by letters to his colleagues and institutions. Today it is the opposite, because technology changes everything. In other words, it is a disruptive element that is here to stay. Let's just imagine a society without computers for a few days, or an archaeological investigation without the help of a GPR, a ground-penetrating radar, that allow us to see the underlying topography, which X-rays, and see the specific location of a place of interest. While it is true that archaeology, as well as other disciplines, are developing and evolving over time, there is something that differs from other professions that make it unique. And this is when discovering something new or confirming that certain findings belong to a certain culture. Thus, we have a well-known example such as Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, where a sophisticated culture from 9500 BC built a series of circular squares for collective use with their well-known stone stelas with religious engravings. As that time is considered Neolithic, Stone Age, ranging from 10,000 to 2200 BC. Archaeology has been forced to stretch the Neolithic period to include Göbekli Tepe at that time, since the same archaeology until recently described Stonehenge as an older Neolithic building with only 5,000 years old. Göbekli Tepe is twice as old. Another thing is to know how and where a sophisticated culture emerged that developed in this way without knowing for sure what is the oldest influence is up to now. So it is not unreasonable to think that there could be well have been a sophisticated prehistoric culture in Peru that left evidence of the use of the application of an ancient high technology, evidence that demonstrate cuts in stones that include millimeter cuts and or the use of an old concrete or geopolymer in other cases. Now, a connoisseur of high-precision instruments, an architect, construction engineer has a task that differs from that of the archaeologists, but it is complementary as an authoritative opinion in this regard. In this sense, I have been able to visit places and videotape these evidences in various archaeological centers in Cusco. I have searched for publications related to these evidences, but so far they have been unsuccessful. I have not found any article from any professional of the above-mentioned professions that tell us their opinion on the matter. Here I hope to be wrong, and rectify myself if necessary when reading an article, whether independent or from an institution, that says how it is possible to cut stone in this way with stone, copper or bronze tools as we see in museums. And I say this since it is what is officially said. Here I refer to cuts made with irreproducible accuracy located in various archaeological centers in Cusco. However, despite the fact that these evidences are in known archaeological centers, certain places are not subject to investigation. This is to say that some yes, but others are strangely left aside. Repeating that these were made with the tools found is not enough. Believe me that in my various trips, I have also been able to collect valid opinions from other professionals that differ from the typical comment that is disseminated. Here I dare to think that there is no protocol on how to investigate these places when results are suspected contrary to the official narrative, or that it is not convenient to investigate because it opens Pandora's box. And what would be even worse when there is a surreptitious censorship about it? This issue is something more complex and important that cannot be resolved with simple comments or ascribed to an alleged alien intervention. These are my thoughts, and if you like them, share and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, goodbye.